Alright guys, I promised I would go ahead and open up a deck today. I did a review just earlier involving one of the decks I'm taking to the Vault Tour Denver this weekend. Unless, of course, something crazy happens and I open up some fantastic decks right before then. But our odds are pretty low considering how close we are to the tournament itself. Today's deck, Brobnar, Dis, and Logos. It's teaming Jerusha of the Library. And let's see here. Been opening up some pretty good Logos decks lately. I don't know if you've seen them. I've had some good Library Access decks. I've had some interesting Mother decks. Let's see what today's deck has in store for us. Okay, what a start. I've never seen a Mother as the first card of a deck. I'm sure there's probably just one of them. It'd be hilarious if we get multiples again. But it's Mother 5 power. During your draw card step, refill your hand to one additional card. Okay. Quixo, 3 power. When he has skirmish, fight, draw a card. Ganymede Archivist, 3 power. Archive a card. Okay, so I have a feeling we're going to have very light creatures in here. Oh, okay. Unless I guess we get a bunch of multiples. There's 2 of those. 3 Ganymede Archivist. It's only because I said something, right? Dr. Escotera, 4 power, gain 1 amber for each forged key your opponent has. Doc Bookton, 5 power, reap, draw a card. Wild Wormhole, amber whenever you play it, play the top card of your deck. Neurosiphon, 1 amber whenever you play it. If your opponent has more amber than you get to steal 1 and draw a card, very sweet. Labwork, amber whenever you play it, archive a card. Fogify, amber whenever you play this, your opponent cannot use creatures to fight on the next turn. Efference in Principle, each player loses half their amber, routing down the loss, gain 1 chain, probably the last one. Yes, it is. Now we're on to this. It's Flame Wreath. Upgrade, amber whenever you play it, this creature gets +2 power and gains hazardous 2, like this card. And we have 2 of them, very nice. Toxin, 3 power, whenever you reap, your opponent discards a random card from their hand. Already a good target for that Flame Wreath. Getting this guy to 5 power is a big difference. The Terror, 5 power. Whenever you play him, if your opponent has no amber, you get to gain 2. Great first turn play. We have 2 of the Terrors. Snudge, 4 power, fight, reap, return an artifact or flame creature to its owner's hand. Pit Demon, 5 power, as an action you can steal an amber. Drumble, 2 power, elusive. Play, if your opponent has 7 or more amber, you get to capture all of it, very nice. Charette, 4 power, whenever you play, capture 3 amber. Would much rather see, I mean, this is okay. You know, it's great if you're using it to keep your opponent off the key, but you're going to need something good to back it up the next turn. Dominator Bobble, it's an artifact, as an action, use a friendly creature. Oh, Creeping Oblivion. 1 amber whenever you play it. Purge up to 2 cards from a discard pile. That actually is a pretty good card. Being able to get rid of your opponent's best 2 cards, especially if they're like a combo deck, so they can't cycle through and get to it again, that's very good. Control the Weak. Amber whenever you play it. Choose a house on your opponent's identity card. Your opponent must choose the house as their active house on the next turn. And whoa! Guys, it's my first Maverick! Oh my gosh! I've never had a Maverick before. I can't believe it. Oh my god, well, how amazing. Okay, my first Maverick, it's actually pretty good. It's a Dust Imp, it's in Brobnar. Normally, this is a Dis creature. 2 power, destroyed, gain 2 amber. I like that, that is awesome, wow. And a War Drummer. Doesn't work well with the Dust Imp Maverick, but War Drummer is a great card. 3 power, return each other friendly Brobnar creature to your hand. Glad you guys are here to see my first ever Maverick, cool. Lomer, Flame Fist, 5 power. Play, if your opponent has 7 more amber, they lose 2. More amber control in this deck. Hebe the Huge, 6 power. Deal 2 damage to each other undamaged creature. In a weird way, that's a combo with our Maverick. We like getting amber. Fire Spitter, 5 power, 1 armor. Before the fight, deal 1 damage to each enemy creature. Bilgum Avalanche, 5 power. After you forge a key, deal 2 damage to each enemy creature. That's actually pretty good. Call into Command. As an action, ready and fight with a friendly creature. It is an artifact. Wow, we have 2 of those. Cool. War Song. For the remainder of the turn, gain 1 amber each time a friendly creature fights. Nice. Smith. 1 amber whenever you play. Gain 2 amber if you control more creatures than your opponent. Relentless Assault. Ready and fight with up to 3 different friendly creatures, 1 at a time. Pretty good. So once you take out your opponent's creatures, each other creature you're ready can reap, so that's nice. Last card of the deck is a Punch. 1 amber whenever you play it. Deal 3 damage to a creature. Alright, so this deck already has me pretty excited simply because I can't believe we got our first Maverick. Let's start checking out some of the amber here. This is basically 3. That's getting you at least 4. Let's see. Well, that's 6, 7, 8. You can't really bank on these, so we're not going to count those for anything. That's 10. All right, so 14 amber essentially. We can get a little bit more depending on how things go. Logos was fine. We had a decent amount of creatures. Let's see here. Decent, good actions to go with it. So we had, as far as, well, I guess we'll pull these up. So Doc Bookton, pretty good. Dr. Escotero's okay. We have a pretty good reaping deck here. Archiving cards is always great. Being able to draw more cards for the next turn and saving to build to a big turn with a particular house is always very good. Mother's nice. Quixo's good. Yeah, the creatures in here are fine for Logos. The actions are pretty good as well. So yeah, I like that. Dis, really like Creeping Oblivion. I think it can mess up certain decks. It's pretty good. Flame Wreath is actually really good too. Control the weak, being able to put your opponent onto a certain house. Does have some big advantages. The Bauble, let's see, we'd be able to use, let's see. I guess it's basically just going to create another Reap, I think. Being able to use a Ganymede Archivist on a Dis turn is pretty good. Yeah, Charlotte Drumble, we had a decent amount of Amber control in here, surprisingly. Toxin is always a great card to see. So especially because you can make it a little bit more powerful, harder to deal with. They're going to want to deal with him anyway, but making him bigger where he doesn't just to die to certain removal is very, very nice. So yeah, the Dis is okay. I feel like in very certain situations, the Dis is really good, but you need those exact scenarios to really take advantage of it. There's sometimes whenever you're sitting there constantly holding on to a Drumble that it's kind of card disadvantage. It's nice to be able to stop your opponent from forging key, but at the same time, holding on to it's kind of rough. Now, Charlotte, you actually don't mind playing that, even if your opponent only has 2 or 3 amber. Capturing 2 or 3 amber is actually still a good play. Pretty excited about the Dust Imp. I think Dust Imp is a great card. To have it in Brobnar doesn't give it any less value, so it's still a same good, valuable card. War Song is really good. Smith is good. Punch is good. Relentless Assault, very nice. 2 Gauntlet Commands. I didn't really see too many fight effects other than maybe something like Snudge. Snudge is a really good card to use with Gauntlet Command. As long as you have something you can fight, whether it's an elusive creature or something else on your opponent's side where your Snudge isn't taking any damage, but you still get the return effect, that's awesome. Avalanche is a good card. Fire Spitter is actually very nice. There's a lot of times where you get to fight with your Fire Spitter twice, and you are taking out, your opponent's 2-power creatures over 2 turns. And actually in this deck, with the 2 Gauntlet Commands, we have a potential to take out all of our opponent's 3-power creatures, and even maybe some of their bigger creatures if they have damage on them, right then and there, before the fight. That is excellent. That is really good. Yeah, Relentless Assault. Yeah, I mean, this is actually, let's see here. It's a pretty interesting deck. One thing I got to say about Mavericks, it's really cool how whenever suddenly it's in a different house, it brings out the other colors. I have a feeling they purposely did that. I think they told a lot of their artists, hey, we want you to use this, whether it's a little bit or at least some amount of these particular colors. And I think they did it so it would pop. You don't notice this part of your normal Dust Imps. It doesn't stick out. But look at how much it stands out now, all that red. Check it out. It just pops now because it has like a red border kind of surrounding it in a sense. So yeah, that's actually really neat. One of my favorite things about Maverick cards. I'm glad I finally have one. Yeah, this deck, let's see. So the Brobnar, it's not insane. It's good, though. The Dis, it's kind of in the same category. It's not insane. It's a good Dis. And, amazingly, yes, Logos is the same thing. It's not insane. It's just kind of a nice, good, solid Logos. So that definitely puts it above average. Does it put it much above average? I don't think so. I don't think this is one of those decks where I have to play it a bunch of times to really figure out what it does. I think a lot of what it has is pretty obvious. There's no real big screaming like waiting for some sort of certain combos. I said it does have some great elements. I love the amber control. It has fairly decent amber gain. So I think I'm ready to rate this. I think I'm gonna rate this deck right at a solid B. A deck that just has all around good solid houses, that's gonna be a B. There's times where we might hit a B because one house is extremely good and we have some other houses lacking. But this one, every single turn, you're actually doing decent things, and it's just going to make for an overall good experience. This is a great deck to take to your locals, as long as your opponent doesn't have some sort of just burst amber deck with hunting witches and madness. Nature's Call Dust Pixies. Alright guys, I do want to thank you for watching my videos, and I guess I'm going to see you again tomorrow morning.